Hello and welcome back to my channel on all things in miniature form, be they a custom painted scale model kits or pre-painted Bishoujo figures like the FuRyu BiCute Bunnies take on Makima, who was the main antagonist early on in the Chainsaw Man manga and anime series. With Albedo Bunny scoring as high as she did, I couldn't resist getting my hands on more BiCute Bunnies, albeit one that was released much earlier in February of this year versus Albedo's June debut. Makima is my first bunny figure who isn't clad in a traditional Playboy type bunny costume, and that's going to be interesting in itself. So let's get on with the unboxing. Because I'm the kind of guy who doesn't do change very well, namely someone ensconced in the if it ain't broke don't fix it school of thought, I wasn't too receptive to Makima being in a non-traditional bunny suit. Yet FuRyu has done everything right to make it work, as I'll elaborate on later. Let's start with the box art first. Starting with the front, we have a close-up view of the Makima figurine in a bokeh effect, with the unmistakable BiCute Bunnies logo and font type, followed by front and back full figure views and a different angled close-up, all of which have the same bokeh effect as the box art on the front. It's a nice series of photo images that highlight all the incredible details of this bunny figure of Makima, which from the photo images alone point to a promising non-traditional bunny figure. And by non-traditional, I mean a bunny suit that's not in the traditional Playboy bunny style. So let's get to unboxing and unwrapping Makima, the process of which will go on in an ASMR-like section of the video. If you would like to skip ahead to the once-over of the figure, whereby I'll resume my commentary, please do use the timestamps provided below. Like most BiCute Bunnies I have in my collection, this one also comes in three main parts, comprising the base, bunny ears, and the stocking figure herself. FuRyu tends to do a good job in the likeness department, and that was certainly the case for Makima, with the resemblance to her anime character clearly visible despite not being attired in her iconic trench coat uniform. That groove on top of her head is where the bunny ears is going to slot in, and from this vantage point, I'm already loving the sculpt and color accuracy of her hair, albeit it lacking any paint shading. In contrast, there seems to be some light skin tone shading on her underarms and cheeks, when coupled with her facial details, make for a compelling figure of Makima, although the paint shading goes missing again when we come to her bunny costume. Design-wise, Makima's attire is a departure from the iconic Playboy-inspired look. It now comprises a sleeveless and pleated white shirt, with a black tie and black button white cuffs, followed by black leather-like short pants with a white fluffy tail and thigh-high black boots, sandwiching the now iconic fine mesh stockings. I really like how her suit looks, and it looks like she may have changed my mind on what constitutes a good bunny suit. Molded in black with a semi-gloss sheen to it, her black bunny ears come in a pair already fixed onto a black headband to be inserted into the groove that we saw atop her head earlier on. Meanwhile, her base comes in an oft-repeated design by FuRyu, namely their signature BiCute Bunnies logo with a circular line design around it, all in gold hues, against a molded-in black round plastic piece. And now that we have gotten a quick glimpse of Makima in her non-traditional bunny costume, let's move on to getting her assembled and ready for display. If you are up for an ASMR-like assembly process of me struggling to put on her bunny ears, sans any commentary, then by all means enjoy the next 2 minutes or so to see how she was put together. If not, please feel free to use the timestamps provided below to skip ahead to the next section. Like most BiCute bunnies today, Makima comes in an impressive standing height of nearly 30 centimeters when measured up to the tip of her bunny ears. But when compared to the previous FuRyu BiCute Bunnies figure of Albedo, whose video review can be accessed via the link I provided in the description below, Makima looks comparatively smaller, not in height, but in terms of width, because the latter has a more slim physique than the former. Yet it is undeniable that BiCute Bunny Makima, like Albedo before her, exudes a striking shelf presence that's a result of more than just her size alone. While not as voluptuous as Albedo in a bunny suit, Makima more than makes up for it with a sensual pose that's all about maximizing the visual perception of the S curves on her body. In art, such curves involve a figure bending first one way, then back the other, thus enhancing the feminine and dynamic qualities of the female figure. What makes this pose so well thought out is the fact that Makima's posture flows naturally in tune with the non-traditional bunny suit that she's wearing. For example, her sleeveless shirt or blouse facilitates a level of freedom of movement that enables Makima to sensually lift up both arms in a relaxed manner as if to playfully brush back her hair from her face. Meanwhile, her black leather-like shorts cinches around her torso rather high up her waistline, which inadvertently accentuates the curves of her torso. Moreover, Makima's thigh-high boots accentuate her slim long legs, making them look even longer, which in modeling parlance means sexy. And then there's the signature fine mesh stockings found in FuRyu BiCute Bunnies pre-painted figure lineup, which although form a smaller surface area of the entire figure this time around, they still look good nonetheless. Other details like the black bunny ears, black bow tie, as well as a pair of black button white cuffs all come together to complete a very cool and sexy looking non-traditional bunny outfit. Resemblance of the figure to the anime character that inspired it is excellent as per my expectations for a FuRyu BiCute Bunnies pre-painted figure. Not only are the facial details spot on, but the colors are accurate too, from her orange eyes to her fair skin tone. And of course it helps that FuRyu also nailed the shade of auburn hair that's pretty iconic to the anime character. Sadly, color gradation is simply non-existent on her hair, and neither can any form of shading be seen on the entirety of her bunny costume, as is painfully obvious when the attire is seen up close in this full 360 degrees upper view. Yet to be fair, this lack of shading on the molded in colors of her hair and bunny suit isn't much of an issue in Makima's case. This is because her hair and her simple white blouse or shirt has been intricately sculpted with incredible details to show off the many strands, locks and braids of her hair, as well as the pleats on her shirt, both of which do provide some natural shadows. Another mitigating factor is her pose that's distracting in a positive way, which reinforces the fact that a good pose will always go a long way to redeem any potential flaws in a figure. And if my eyes did not deceive me, FuRyu did actually add some shading on her skin tone, specifically as blushes on her cheeks and shadows on her underarms. But the extremely light application of said shading did create some doubt as to whether they really exist or are just natural shadows, especially on her underarm areas. Yet, natural or painted, the net effect is pleasing enough to the eye. Sadly though, her fingernails remain unpainted, which if you have been following my past reviews, you would know that it's a pet peeve of mine. Like her bunny ears, the rest of the black coloured sections of her bunny suit, including her thigh-high boots, have been molded with a semi-gloss finish. Here, any lack of paint shading isn't an issue at all, as the nicely molded folds and creases on the leather-like ensemble reflect light in a natural way to project depth on the bunny suit. This time around, the unique characteristic of every FuRyu BiCute Bunnies figure, that is its fine mesh stockings, seems to have taken a step back from the limelight, seeing that it only covers a small part of her entire leg. But as part of the non-traditional bunny suit look, I must admit it's well suited to the new design. Makima's boots end in a pair of high heels, which thanks to the difference in material and finish, sufficiently differentiates her lower half visually from the similarly coloured round base. This FuRyu BiCute Bunnies pre-painted figure achieves what a figure should be doing, but in a way that I believe rises above your average collector's expectations from price figures due to their inherent quality limitations caused by their price point. What I'm referring to is the much underrated factor of a figure's pose. There's something about the lines of her posture, perhaps alluding to the S-curves I had shown earlier, which makes Makima stand out in a very eye-catching way amidst the many other figures in my display shelf. Of course, it helps that this figure closely resembles his animated counterpart, through not only the usual color accurate and high likeness details of her face and hair, but also via her countenance, which to me is a combination of a stoic expression plus a wry smile. Makima manages to be visually prominent despite having a color scheme dominated by neutral hues of black and white, as well as her fair skin tones, broken up only by her auburn hair and orange eyes. Her understated hues work because while her attire might be in black and white, the pronounced arch of her back to make the S-curves prominent means our eyes are still going to be attracted to her body. Moreover, that shock of color on her head, courtesy of her auburn hair, means our eyes will also be attracted to arguably a figure's most important feature, i.e. her face. In terms of sculpt quality, clean paintwork and great post design, this FuRyu BiCute Bunnies figure of Makima from the Chainsaw Man series has it all. Yet she does not scale the heights of her peer, namely Overlord's albedo figure from the same bunny figure lineup, primarily because of the lack of color gradation on large swaths of the figure's surface area. Now, don't get me wrong, BiCute Bunnies Makima is still a fantastic figure of quality, but its lack of color gradation, while it doesn't overly affect her beautiful look, does serve as a reminder of her budget crane price figure origins, an issue which albedo had transcended. As such, I'm giving this FuRyu BiCute Bunnies figure of Makima a rating of Diamond or A rank. which is still a great rating for a figure I had actively sought out to include in my figure collection. In fact, if only FuRyu had painted her nails, applied more prominent skin tone shading, and added some subtle shadows to her white shirt, Makima would have easily gotten a higher rating and become only the second budget tier price figure to achieve the special rating. So in her case, it was more a missed opportunity rather than any major flaws in sculpt or paint quality. And on that wistful note, we have come to the end of this unboxing and review video of Makima from Chainsaw Man in her non-traditional bunny outfit. Thank you for watching till the end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content from yours truly. Until the next video, please do take care, be well, and be happy.